Also, you can win by disqualification. So we have taken care of some of the house cleaning, and we are set to go our quarterfinals. Some interesting matchups in this one, no doubt about it. Everyone buzzing here in Casper. These two guys do not like each other. Tank Abbott, John Matua. Right now, let's meet the Tank. At 6 feet tall and 280 pounds, D.L. Abbott will live up to his name in the octagon. They call him the Tank.
My name's Tank Abbott. I'm going to be the most athletic person that's ever stepped into the octagon. That, coupled with my experience, will definitely make me the UFC 6 champ.
And here comes the Tank from Huntington Beach, California. American heavyweight pit fighting champion, 7-0 in bare knuckle pit fights. Pit fighting is similar to what you see in the UFC. Not a definable style, just what works in a fight. The underground style in Orange County.
Well, he's got some gloves on. I'm wondering if that's due to the fact that a lot of strikers have broken hands in this competition upon hitting their opponents in the head.
Pit fighting is the name of this discipline.
He likes to strike. He has some good background in boxing. He claims he could be a professional. He's done some wrestling in his day. He likes to take those strikes and hit at the head. And of course, he doesn't want to go to the ground, though he claims he can be competent on the ground. He's more of a stand-up fighter.
A 1993 graduate of the University of California at Long Beach. Right now, it's time to meet his opponent. At 6'2" and 400 pounds, John Matua is the biggest competitor in the UFC tonight. Can anyone stop this man?
I'm training under Kajas Kuyalua from San Pedro, California. I have respect for all the fighters against me, but I will be testing the ancient Hawaiian art of bone breaking against their styles.
His discipline is called Kui'alua, a freestyle system, everything that works. No forms, no katas, just fighting. 10-0 in bare knuckle matches. John Matua and Jim, we looked at him yesterday, we talked to him, 400 pounds, but I don't see much fat.
The point of this young man is that he is supposed to be quick and athletic. So the 400 pounds, if he is quick and athletic, will be an asset to him, especially if he has some of the techniques that we just saw him exhibit.
He is a distant cousin of Akibono, the reigning world champion sumo wrestler. There's a look at Tank Abbott, 30 years of age. John Matua, 29 years of age. One of our ring card girls here in Casper, Wyoming. Our ring announcer, the voice of the fights. Let's go to the golden voice of Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, SEG Sports Corporation welcomes you to the Casper Event Center here in Casper, Wyoming, where tonight it is the Ultimate Fighting Championship 6. 8 of the world's toughest fighters will walk into this octagon tonight, and at the end of the evening, only one shall emerge victorious. Plus, later this evening, the Clash of the Titans, the super fight, the ultimate super fight featuring UFC 5 champion Dan Severn versus world shoot fighting champion Ken Shamrock. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, there are no weight classes, there are no rounds, there are no time limits, and ladies and gentlemen, there are no rules. Let's get things started with the first of our quarter-final matches. Presenting first, the first pit fighter to compete in the octagon with a bare-knuckle record of 7-0. He's 30 years old, 6 feet tall, and weighs 265 pounds. Fighting out of Huntington Beach, California. No wonder they call him the Tank, ladies and gentlemen. He is David Tank Abbott. And his opponent, on the opposite side of the octagon, a practitioner of Kui'alua, the brutal Hawaiian art of bone breaking. This fighter is 29 years old and stands 6 feet 2 and weighs 400 pounds. He's 10-0 in bare knuckle matches. Ladies and gentlemen, from San Pedro, California, he is John Matua. The referee in charge is big
Here's a look
John
at the tail of the
McCarthy.
tape. Abbott 280 or 265, Matua 400. Pretty close in age. Matua 2 inches taller. We are set to go our first quarterfinal match of UFC 6. And this one had everyone buzzing. John McCarthy signals the fighters.
You ready? Well, let's get it on.
Here we go. Tank Abbott and Matua. Tank quickly takes Matua to the ground. Matua back up. Tank lands a right hand. Matua back to his feet.
Matua's taking some vicious shots to the head.
Tank knocks
that's
Matua
it.
down. And that is all. He hit the ground very hard.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my. His legs are shaking.
Come on in here. You're okay, John. It's okay. You're okay. You're all right, John. You're all right, John.
Oh, my. John Matua hit the ground. His head hit the ground very hard. As you look at the replay, our thoughts are with John Matua right now. Dr. Richard Istrigo, Leon Tabbs are in the ring. There are 2 emergency units on the premises. There's Tank Abbott. Matua lying on the canvas being attended to by Leon Tabbs and Dr. Istrigo. You saw his legs quivering as he went to the mat. Jeff Blatnick is standing by with Tank Abbott.
Tank, that was a heck of a display of punching power. Was that your game plan going in?
I've got all sorts of things to do, Jeff, as you know. You'll see.
But he was a 400-pounder, and you seem to take down 400 pounds with a chainsaw.
Well, what do you want to know? That's what I am.
Can we expect that same kind of punishment to be on the rest of the fighters in this tournament?
That's only one dimension, Jeff. As you know, that's probably my weakest part of the dimension. I will go on. I'm a little winded right now because I'm excited. Other than that, cakewalk, baby.
Well, we wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, Jeff.
So Tank Abbott with the victory. The crowd in a stunned silence right now following their immediate frenzy as John Matua continues to be worked at and appears to be conscious. Let's go back for a moment and take a look at what happened. His head hit the mat so very hard.
Abbott's done some training in boxing, claims he can be a professional boxer. Punching power right here when he went backwards, and he's going to hit his head on the rebound, falling right there. And that's where most people get hurt badly, is off the ricochet of the head.
Well, the emergency medical unit is in the ring right now. We have 2 advanced life support units, ambulances, full ambulance with defibrillators, which can start a heart. Oxygen available for all participants because of the altitude. The Wyoming Medical Center is just 2 miles from the arena. It is a major receiving hospital for Wyoming all over the state. It also has a helicopter life flight service. Dr. Richard Istrigo being helped by Ken Chastik from the Wyoming Medical Center Emergency Department, experienced in trauma care and medical emergency service. And a lot of care being given right now to big John Matua, who hit the ground so very, very hard.
Well, you know, the blow to his head seemed to be what's being emphasized, but I think that those punches were devastating. That last punch, I wish that the referee could have gotten in there, but he couldn't have.
He was across the ring. It was very difficult. You don't want to be too close to them.
Well, UFC 7 is coming up in Buffalo, New York on September 8th. And that should be very exciting as we move to New York. But right now, we just focus our attention and continue to wait on the health of John Matua.
It almost reminded me of Beebe when he got hit in Buffalo.
Here's a look at the brackets and the way they will unfold tonight, with Tank Abbott now advancing with his victory. Cal Wershon and Paul Varland still ahead. Moncayo and Pat Smith, and Dave Beneteau and Oleg Taktarov. That Beneteau-Taktarov match also figured to be pretty intense, but we knew this first one, Jim, with the size of the competitors, could be a little dangerous.
And the bad blood. We didn't know anything about Tank. He did a lot of talking in our interviews, but basically he's backed it up.
Well, John Matua is being helped to his feet. And the crowd comes to their feet to give a round of applause to Matua, who is now up in a chair inside the ring, and that is wonderful news. Terrific care given to Matua immediately at ringside. And he appears to be coherent as Dr. Richard Istrigo examines him. Jeff Blatnick is standing by with our referee, John McCarthy, to give us some further insight. Let's go to Jeff right now.
I'm here with John McCarthy, the referee of that bout and the Ultimate Fighting Championship referee. What did you see and how did you see it?
Abbott hit Matua with a really good hard shot that put Matua back, and he kept on trying to grab, and every third punch he'd hit him a little bit more, and then he finally hit him with a real solid shot. He went back, and when he went back, he was hurt, and his head hit the canvas, and that just put him out.
Were you able to get there as quick as possible to stop it?
As quick, with the rules that we have, I got to make sure that it's not when he goes down like a fighting referee, so the other fighter's going to step off. I've got to wait to make sure that he's out of the match to stop it. That's as quick as I could get over there to get Abbott off of him.
With these two size guys, is it difficult for you to be a referee to get in the middle of that and stop them?
And these guys 400 pounds in here. That's a lot of person to try to get to move and stuff. They're getting bigger and stronger and meaner around here. It's going to be a awfully hard competition to enter and win.
Well, certainly are, and I'm sure you're concerned. Is your first priority definitely the safety of these fighters?
That's always my thing. I want to make sure that they come here, they give their best, but they're able to walk out and be just as normal as before when they go home.
Well, there's a lot of speculation about this, two big strikers throwing big roundhouse punches. There was concern over the safety. We hope and pray John Matua is okay. We wish you the best of luck. And
thank you, Jeff.
Bet you take care.
All right, John Matua is being helped from the ring. They have oxygen here for all the competitors. It is not a pretty sight. Super fight is ahead later tonight. Dan Severin, Ken Shamrock. That figures to be a dandy. Two guys very disciplined in grappling. And once again, we are pleased to see that John Matua is on his feet, Jim.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so happy for him. You know, it's interesting. We saw some striking in this particular fight. I guess because they're both so big, you could actually get those kind of punches in. I think with smaller men, it's more difficult.
And certainly when they're that big and that fist lands, there's so much power behind it that it's going to do some damage. And you're right, Jim, those punches did hurt him a lot, but that landing on the back of the head is the classic injury. Oh, yes. Always that concussion type injury, because the head is snapping and you're really shaking the eggshell, if you will.
I know that's happened to you before, right?
I've been knocked out in a back souffle before, so I've landed on the back of my head.
What do you call a souffle?
Souffle.
Souffle.
You don't make eggs out of them, though some people, when they throw, do try to scramble them a little bit.
We saw Severn do that very well.
Yes, he did.
Against Messina.
So that fight was 21 seconds of fury. And Tank Abbott, who a lot of people figured might go to the finals, has advanced. Well, we continue in the quarterfinals of the UFC. Cal Wershon against Paul Varland. Varland's much bigger than Wershon. Right now, we're looking forward to meeting our next competitor. Taekwondo stylist Cal Wershon got the call to fight just 9 days ago. But if there's one thing this ex-Marine is used to, it's overcoming tough challenges.
Hi, I'd like to say hello to all my students back home at Folsom Taekwondo. Hi to the wife and kids.
and I'm here to party in the octagon.
From Folsom, California. Taekwondo point fighting tournaments 33-2, ranked #1 by the International Taekwondo Council, the ITC, which is a national council. Also has a black belt in Taekwondo. He's a red collar instructor. He's married with 3 kids, a instructor at Jack Corey's Folsom Taekwondo Academy, and he's waiting to hear from the Department of Corrections in California, hoping to be a corrections officer in the next couple of weeks. There's a look at Worsham.
Well, he's very compact.
Very calm. He's a Christian. He says he changes when he gets in there, that he puts it down. He's honorable while he's in there. He won't cheap shot his opponent, and he said he'll only react to what his opponent does to him. So if his opponent escalates any kind of cheap shotting or any type of strikes, then he will accelerate to that end as well.
And his opponent tonight is undefeated in bare knuckle matches. Trap fighter Paul Varolin stands at 6'8" and weighs in at 300 pounds. And anyone who thinks they can win the UFC title is going to have to go through him first.
It's an honor to be accepted for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Things have got a little too virtual for me. This is the real deal. Let's get it on.
He's called the Polar Bear, fighting out of Sunnyvale, California. Trap fighting, a hybrid martial arts form developed by Ernie Karwowski. Whatever is effective is used, whatever isn't died off. It's called trap fighting because you set up your opponent, then trap them. You bait the trap, then take your prey. He played high school football and wrestling at a football scholarship to San Jose State. Played there for 3 years, 8 years experience in wrestling.
You tell me I was going to ask you if you're ready. Once you give me that note, let's get it on.
Paul Varlin's from a unique discipline, trap fighting.
Well, I think that's what it's going to be now, because they have to learn so many different things. They call it cross fighting now, right?
Exactly. And what they'll do is they'll take the best from all the disciplines that seems to be successful here in the octagon. So the UFC has had an immediate impact on the martial arts world.
Yes.
There's all these new strains of combatic techniques and disciplines coming about.
For the introduction of the fighters, let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we go to the second quarter-final match. Introducing first, representing the Korean art of Taekwondo. He's 32 years old and stands 5 feet 10 inches tall. He weighs 220 pounds. He's a black belt, ranked #1 in the world by the International Taekwondo Council. His record in point fighting competition is 33-2. Ladies and gentlemen, from Folsom, California, he is Cal Worsham. And his opponent across the octagon, standing 6 feet 8 inches tall and weighing 300 pounds. 25 years old, representing the unknown art of trap fighting. He's undefeated in bare knuckle matches and hails from the Arctic north of Fairbanks, Alaska, where they call him the Polar Bear. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Paul Varolin.
And a look at the tail of the tape. 300 Varlin, Worsham 230. Worsham is 7 years the senior of Varlin's, both from California.
An obvious size disparity here, height and weight, going to the much bigger Varlin.
Second quarterfinal match. The winner will take on Tank Abbott.
You ready?
Not an enviable task at this point. Now we're underway. Quick kick by Worsham.
Oh, Worsham got a shot in there.
Worsham landing rights and lefts. Worsham with an uppercut. And he scores with the knee against his bigger opponent. Cal Worsham, they're still on their feet longer than most matches go.
Oh, you're going to have 2 tired fighters here. They might have punched each other out just in that.
Couple knees to the stomach by Worsham. Blood streaming from Varlin's. Worsham lands again with a right hand.
Front headlock by Varlin there. He could have tried to choke a little bit. Not a good leverage position, though.
Now a bit of fatigue steps in after that series of punches. Elbow by Varlins. Wilson lands some punches to the face again. And Varlins is bloody, but down goes
That's going to be it. That's going to be it.
An elbow to the head of Carl Worsham. Wow.
Oh, boy.
Whoa, whoa. He's all right.
He's okay.
He's okay. But he took some shot.
Some big people here.
Wow.
Lots of power. Lots of power.
Leon Tabbs, the cut man, and Dr. Richard Istrigo quickly in the ring as Varlins took a lot of punches. He's bloodied up right in the nose area. But that big elbow, Jim, was the definitive blow.
Oh, yes. All that power, all that weight was behind it.
And thus far, this event has been fast and furious.
Fast and furious and crazy.
And
I did not see any discipline at work. I just saw swinging.
And Worsham, 80 pounds lighter than Varlins, gave a tremendous account of himself.
He almost had it.
Here's another look at it. There's that big shot to the head. It was an elbow to the head. And that proved to be the story. The towel was thrown in, but the ref had stopped the fight first.
Big John knows what to do, babe.
So Paul Varlins, representing trap fighting, advances. And he'll be going up against Tank Abbott. And Jim, that will be a heavyweight affair.
Well, I'm telling you, I don't know if he's going to be able to come back. You know, it's difficult to go through these kinds of things when you got to fight 3 fights. Super fight might be the thing.
Varlins cooling off in the ring, gathering his composure.
He's got a big swollen area under the left eye there.
He looks to be okay. We saw Cal Worsham leave the ring under his own feet, his own strength.
Oh, yes, he's tough. He's tough, very determined.
Varlins being attended to because the thing he wants to do is to be able to continue.
Well, I think he's going to have to get a little quicker, too.
Jim,
he took
another
a lot
look.
of punishment.
It wasn't flush on the head. If it was, it could have been more of a blow.
Well, yes. I don't know how much more, but...
Okay. Let's go to Jeff Blatnick.
Great bout there. It seems like you got caught a little bit in the beginning. He seemed to be able to catch you.
We're all good. That's why we're here. He's no walk around, man. Nobody here is not a tough individual.
Can we expect the same style from you? A lot of punching on the feet?
No.
You saw Tank, I don't know if you saw Tank Abbott's first bout, but he was able to take out Mature in about 21 seconds. You're both the big guys here. You both throw big, heavy punches. Is that what we can expect in this fight?
I haven't made up my mind yet.
Well, we want to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Certainly welcome.
Well, there's no doubt that Varlins is focused on his task, and I don't think he had too much he wanted to give away.
No, I don't know what he's going to be able to do because I don't know how much technique he's going to be able to come up with if he's attacked
I'll be
by the
honest with you, Jim. I don't think he's thinking ahead right now. He's just glad to get out of there.
I don't blame him. He's breathing hard. He's bloody. He's got that big mouse under his eye, and he's got a lot to think about before the next fight.
Especially knowing that he's going to be taking on Tank Abbott next.
And Tank seems not to be hurt at all.
Only 21 seconds of action for Tank as well, so he didn't expend too much out of the gas tank.
With a nasty attitude.
Leon Spinks, the former heavyweight champion of the world.
They said he wants to get in this.
What do you think?
I hear silence on this broadcasting tape.
Well,
Leon.
Well, there's the fighter the fans want.
That's
in this
right.
UFC.
Boxers have never done well here.
Pretty good crowd here at the CASPER Event Center, which just held the kickoff date for the nationwide Pearl Jam Tour. Time to look ahead to our next bout as we move to the bottom half of the main draw. And you can see the fans getting ready for this next one. It's Rudyard Moncayo of Kempo Karate against Pat Smith, the kickboxer. Rudyard Moncayo, let's find out a little bit more. Representing Ecuador, Kenpo stylist Rudyard Moncayo will be bringing a little Latin heat to the octagon tonight.
So many other fighters want to win for their trainers, families, and friends. I have a whole country out there pulling for me, and I don't want to let them down.
And here comes the pit bull, Rudyard Moncayo from Guayaquil, Ecuador, representing Deportiva Sportiva of Ecuador, 78-0 in full contact karate matches. He's the Todo Dare champion of Ecuador. Everything goes in Todo Dare. Also well-disciplined in judo, a black belt, Kempo karate, a black belt, purple belt, jiu-jitsu. He started and discovered judo at age 15. Here's a look at Kempo karate and what he hopes to accomplish.
He's a striker. He prefers to do that combination stuff up on his feet, not much on the ground.
Well, I'll tell you, this one's probably going to end up on the ground because Pat Smith said he wants to get it down on the ground.
Says he's been practicing there, Jim.
Been practicing there, learned a big lesson there, got beat down there, and want to do something about it.
So Moncayo takes out a veteran of the UFC in his third competition, Pat Smith. The last time UFC veteran Pat Smith stepped into the octagon, it was to fight for the title. He won't be letting it get away from him this time around.
I fought in UFC 1, I fought in UFC 2. I fought chemo overseas in Japan. I think I have the most experience out of everybody in this competition. It's my big chance to win in UFC 6.
Pat Smith is 2-2 in the UFC. A finalist in UFC 2, he lost to Royce Gracie. And he had one of the most awesome finishes in the history of this event when in the first round of UFC 2, an elbow strike put away ninjutsu artist Scott Morris.
There's more than one elbow strike, as I recall. There's a flurry of them. A dynamic fighter, a kickboxer. He's a great striker. And as Jim and I alluded to, he's been practicing grappling skills because he ended up on the ground in his 2 losses and was helpless there.
Absolutely, and he learned a lot because he came back in with so much respect for this particular event. And he's actually a more humble individual at this particular time.
He only has 2 losses in the octagon to 2 big names, Ken Shamrock, Royce Gracie.
Al Smith, the striker, he does do Muay Thai kickboxing, Subaki fights as they call them, so he's competent with some kicks and some knees, particularly elbows. Of course, he'd use his head if he has the opportunity to apply some headbutt.
So we're set to go. Rudyard Moncayo against Pat Smith. Let's go up to our ring announcer, Michael Buffer.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we go to our third quarterfinal match. Introducing first, representing the country of Ecuador and fighting out of Santa Ana, California. He's a black belt in the art of Kenpo Karate. 25 years old, 5 feet 10 and weighing 205 pounds. He's undefeated in full contact karate with a record of 78-0, 65 by knockout. He is Rudy, the Pitbull Moncayo. And his opponent across the octagon, standing 6 feet, 2 inches tall. He weighs 217 pounds and comes to us tonight from Aurora, Colorado. A kickboxer with black belts in Taekwondo and Muay Thai Karate. He's a veteran of the UFC with a record of 2-2. Ladies and gentlemen, the very popular Patrick Smith.
Here's a look at the tail of the tape. Smith 12 pounds heavier than Moncayo. He is older, but he's seasoned in the UFC. It's Moncayo's first visit to the octagon. Both fighters from California. Smith was born in Colgate, Oklahoma. Here we go. Smith and Moncayo. Third quarterfinal match of UFC 6.
Get back in the circle. Get back. Are you ready? Get your ass back all the way over.
John McCarthy trying to get Smith back to his starting spot. Here they go. Smith lands a quick leg to the face of Moncayo. And Moncayo got back up.
He hit him in the chest, actually, there, Bruce. He caught him high in the chest, and it flattened Moncayo.
Moncayo back on his feet.
And this is where that kickboxing, that element of knees and elbow strikes, short hits, takes out your opponent there, taking some rib shots.
Shot to the body by Pat Smith.
That's also a chokehold there.
Moncayo by the head and lands an elbow and another elbow. Smith continues to pop away, and now he uses the fence of the octagon for leverage. Moncayo tried to battle back. He had one shot to the body. Now Smith takes it to the ground.
This is where Smith is so tough. If Moncayo doesn't know the guard, he's in for a rude awakening here.
Big shot by Smith.
Choke there. He's got a tight choke.
That's it. That's it.
Oh, Smith has learned some ground stuff.
What a fight.
He wins by choke. Oh, is he fired up?
Well, we saw some technique.
And we saw some power.
Yes.
And great affection there, great respect. Smith comes over to the corner, shakes hand with Todd Medina, El Turbaran, the manager of Rudyard the Pitbull Moncayo, and they both exit the ring together.
Well, Smith has been here before, and you can see it.
He trained for this for 6 months. And it shows. 1 minute, 15 seconds. Jeff Blatnick.
Okay, Pat, so you talked to us about improving your grappling skills. It seems as though you've picked up some submission holds.
That's what it takes to win this. You gotta have a lot of grappling experience. Because if you can't fight on the ground, you can't fight.
Well, tell you what, let's take a look at how you finished off that match there. You started off with a wonderful kick to the chest. You flattened your opponent, and then you were able to finish. Take a peek here. Tell us what was going through your mind.
Well, right here, I just wanted to go to him. I want to be really aggressive in this thing. I had him in the wrong arm there. I hadn't practiced on this arm. I would have choked him out already. I wanted to get him here. I was loosening him up back here, hitting him on these nerves right behind his head. I didn't get to use no headbutts. I didn't get to use none of the stuff I've been practicing. This is all Thai fight right here.
So you like the in-close kneeing
right here.
And then once
Seido Kaikan in Japan taught me all that stuff.
But once you got him to the ground here, it seems as though we were going to see your elbows again. Is that what you were looking for?
Just trying to take my time and wait. I ain't in no hurry.
And here comes the finish now. You got him in the chokehold, pull him over backwards.
I had never practiced getting that choke like that, but when you get a hold of it, you just hold it.
All right, well, Pat, we want to wish you the best of luck. Continue success.
My son out there in Aurora, Colorado. What's up, son? I did this one for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pat Smith.
Okay, Jeff, so Pat Smith is on to the semifinals. And thus far, we have seen lots of power. And Pat Smith, he is a focused gentleman. He went back to work. He's been working on terminating. He says in Japan, you must win 6 in a night. And he's been to Japan, so he knows what it's all about. 2 to 3 months of training, he says, not enough for this one. You got to work for 5 or 6 months.
It seems to have paid off.
Yes, it has. Our next matchup on paper, certainly one of the best of the opening round, Dave Beneteau, who went to the finals in UFC 5, and Oleg TAKTAROV, who was taken out by Dan Severn in UFC 5, and we all know that Severn went on to win the championship. David Beneteau representing Canada. Canadian wrestler Dave Beneteau was an alternate in UFC 5, but still made it to the finals. This time, he's hoping to take it all the way.
Hi, I'd like to say hi to all my friends in Canada. Je veux dire bonjour à tous mes amis à Quebec. I'd like to say hi to all my friends up at Simon Fraser University. Thank all my generous sponsors. And I'd like to thank Semaphore Entertainment Group for putting on the UFC to allow me to test my abilities.
He is a paramedic for the city of Windsor, Ontario. President of his local union of members for the city of Windsor. He sits on its bargaining team for contract negotiations for the entire province. He's also a man who's had 17 national titles and went to 4 world championships. 2-1 in the UFC. He was an alternate in UFC 5. He lost in the finals to Severn after beating Todd Medina in the semis. Dave Beneteau. Jim?
Well, I'll tell you, he's a big guy. He's strong. He has a certain amount of technique. He's fighting a man that's much smaller than him. A man that has a lot of technique. It's going to be a very interesting fight. David versus Goliath.
In a way, that's the truth. And, of course, Beneteau has some punching power. He likes to get to that mounted position and rain punches down. He'll use his grappling ability to try to get to that mounted position. Taktarov, a master of submission holds. And he's not going to be wearing a gi, is what he told us. And normally he does. It's an important element in being able to choke your opponent in some of the submission locks. This is a clash of styles. Definitely difference in body type. Should be a good fight.
A closer look now at the man who's been training with Ken Shamrock and a guy who's coming back for his 2nd straight UFC. Russian Sambo champion Oleg Taktarov returns to the UFC hoping to redeem himself. With 7 Russian and world titles under his belt, he will be a force to contend with in the octagon.
I know a lot of my friends watching me right now. I know my son gonna watch me. My son Sergey. And I know, I see no way how I can lose. I'm gonna win.
He is the world Sambo champion. Sambo was the Soviet national martial art developed in the 30s for the military. It's a hybrid of judo and wrestling. Sambo is still compulsory for everyone in the Russian military. Oleg Taktarov, 1994 champion, Iron Gladiator tournament in Europe, 4-time European Asian full contact jiu-jitsu champion.
Interesting character. Didn't like the fact that the fight stopped last time. Resented it.
Had a lot of blood in the eye, and he said in Russia they just keep going if that happens. You wait until you tap out.
I guess so in Russia.
Well, he apologized to Ernie Verdicchia after UFC 5 because he did not shake his hands. He said he was sorry. He said in Russia, we simply bow after a bout. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape for this 4th quarterfinal match between Taktarov and Beneteau. Taktarov is the lighter of the two, giving away about 40 pounds because Beneteau's gone from 258 to 250 recently while training at Simon Fraser University in Burnaby, British Columbia, which was his alma mater. You can see they're both the same age. Beneteau, the 2-inch advantage, and this is an international fight, guys. Canada against Russia.
Gorky Park.
So we're standing by. We're waiting for the ringside physician to return to the octagon. So there is a delay at the present time. Tank Abbott, Paul Varlins, Pat Smith have all advanced in the UFC. Abbott in 21 seconds after flattening John Matua, who we understand is okay after taking that severe fall. Paul Varlins with the elbow to the head, the victory over Cal Worsham, and Pat Smith over Rudyard Moncayo. And there's David Hasselhoff.
We should be having an interview with him a little bit later on
He's got
in
a
the
big
show.
The Baywatch star.
He's successful.
You betcha. Baywatch.
Fighters are now ready. We're still standing by for the doctor as you look at Taktarov.
Jeff, let me interrupt it. Call this one for me, Jeff.
Who's going to win this one? I have no idea, Jim. If I go with my heart, I go with the grappler. If I go with my senses, I think Taktarov might have a little bit too much technique. Okay. Submission holds.
All right, right now, let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 4th and last of our quarter-final matchups. Introducing first, returning to the octagon tonight, a UFC veteran, a wrestler fighting out of Windsor, Ontario, Canada. 28 years old. He's 6'2" and weighs 258 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, David Beneteau. And his opponent across the octagon, fighting out of Lockford, California, by way of Gorky, Russia. 27 years old, 6 feet tall, 215 pounds. He is the 1994 Iron Gladiator champion, the 4-time European and Asian Jiu-Jitsu champion, the Russian national judo champion, the world Sambo champion, and returning UFC veteran, he's known as the Russian Bear. Ladies and gentlemen, Oleg TAKTAROV.
Here we go, TAKTAROV against Beneteau. John McCarthy will say, let's get it on, and then it is battle. We're at the CASPER Event Center, CASPER, Wyoming, underway. Beneteau goes right for TAKTAROV's legs and tries to bring him down, and he does.
And TAKTAROV right into the guard.
And this is what TAKTAROV thrives on. But I think Beneteau remembers what SEVERN did, getting his head up against the fence.
This is where Oleg is supposedly weak, is in against the fence, but he's gotten back to his feet now. Let's see what Beneteau can do to try to get him back under.
Last time, TAKTAROV had a right knee injury. He said he'll be much tougher as Beneteau solidly punches away at TAKTAROV. TAKTAROV shoots a leg. Oh, what a spinning move. And back they are in that same position, Jim.
And Beneteau is cut. Beneteau is cut. Must have gotten hit. Oh, and he's being choked out.
Beneteau taps out.
That's where that technique always comes through.
Beautiful move by TAKTAROV.
That's that quality you were talking about. Overside.
A bloody Beneteau. And Leon Tabs quickly comes in to take care of him. TAKTAROV congratulates Beneteau. Great deal of respect there between those two fighters, Jim.
A lot of respect here tonight.
An incredible quarterfinal round.
You never know with the technician either. It looked like he was in trouble. The next thing you knew, the fight was over.
He is as comfortable on the mat, I think, as Hoist Gracie. He was on the mat a couple times, and he won from the ground. Jeff?
Oleg, it seems that you picked up some from your experience in your last UFC. What have you learned?
Nothing learned. Money okay, my health okay, my friends with me. I know a lot of friends watching me from Russia, from Texas, from California. My son gonna watch me. I cannot lose. Guy me can help you.
Oleg, can you take a look at the replay, Oleg, right here? We have a replay. Tell us what you were thinking here. This is the start of the fight. You decided to mix it up and punch. He was able to take you down, but you see you're still punching. Is that something we can expect from you?
I can do anything. I can do punch.
Well, you wish you the best.
Well, Jim, I thought that was a pretty straightforward answer. I can do anything.
It really was, but I heard a lot of hard breathing.
Yeah, me too.
There's two more fights in this doggone contest. You never know.
Here's the tap out. As you can see, that's the choke, Jeff.
Beneteau probably didn't even expect that. That's just an overhook over his head, and because of his Sambo experience, he turned that into a definite chokehold. And Beneteau, when you're out of air, it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're on top, on bottom, you got to stop.
You're so right, Jeff. It's been the most effective technique that I've seen in 6 of these.
That's right. The choke seems to be the most popular.
Will get anybody.
That's right.
All right, here's a look thus far at what has transpired in the main draw. Tank Abbott, 21 seconds. Ref stops fight over John Matua. Paul Varlins, 1:05. Elbow to the head. Ref stops the fight, 1:05. Pat Smith, 1:15. Chokehold. Oleg TAKTAROV, 54 seconds and a chokehold, and he advances as well. So those 4 have moved on. Abbott, Varlins, Smith, and TAKTAROV. We've set up a 900 number giving you up to the minute info on UFC statistics, trivia, and interviews with your favorite fighters. And tonight, we're doing something special, letting you, the fans, vote on who you think will win the super fight. Shoot fighting champion Ken Shamrock or Ultimate Fighting champion Dan Severn. I'll be your host on the UFC Fight Line. So call now in the U.S. Call 1-900-RUN-4-UFC. In Canada, 1-900-451-3929. Calls $1.99 per minute in the U.S., $2.49 in Canada. Kids under 18, ask your parents. So the crowd is continuing to rev up at the CASPER Event Center, which is known for rodeos. As a matter of fact, hundreds of head of antelope live on the acreage surrounding the CASPER Event Center. They've got year-end concerts here, plays, special performances. They also hold the state high school wrestling and basketball tournaments. So before we get to our semifinals, let's talk about a gentleman. He's known as the Black Dragon. His name, Ron Van Cleef. He holds a 10th degree black belt in Chinese Goju Karate. He's been the U.S. Karate Champion 9 times. At age 51, Ron took the ultimate challenge, accepting an invitation to compete in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. In UFC 4, his opening round opponent was 3-time champion Royce Gracie. Van Cleef, more than 20 years older than Gracie, would not back down, but still could not ward off the master of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Royce won the match on a tap out, but Van Cleef won the heart of the martial arts community with his courage and his class. He is now the commissioner.
Ron, what's your impressions of the fight so far?
Excellent, excellent. I've called each one, and the fighters are getting better and better.
Let me ask you, in the press conference, you spoke of a code of conduct. What did you mean by that?
A code of conduct is how martial arts persons treat themselves, how they treat each other, with a code of respect.
Is that something you're looking for in the fighters, both out of the octagon and in the octagon?
But you see it. You see it inside the octagon and outside.
Has the growth of the UFC surprised you?
It is amazing, and it's going to be the #1 sport of the 21st century.
Do you think it's a violent sport?
No.
Why not?
Because there's more violence in the city schools. And it's under control. Everything is safe. I mean, they're good referees. They're really good athletes. They know what they're doing.
I concur with you. And last but not least, what do you see as as your vision for the future of the UFC?
I see UFC 100. It'll be around for a long, long time.
Well, thank you very much, Ron. It's a pleasure.
Real pleasure, Jeff. Bye.
Now let's talk to the fight doctor. Come on in here. Doctor, we had a real brutal first fight. What did you think of that?
The first fight?
Matua and Tank in the actual Ultimate Fighting Championship.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Well, Matua has a head injury. He's on his way. Actually, he's at the hospital now. He had a loss of consciousness for about 3 minutes or more, which is concerned. He certainly had a concussion, but he did exhibit some signs of having a seizure, which concerned me. I know he hit his head very hard when he came down on the mat. He's getting a CAT scan right now. He did recover. We made him recover in the ring, meaning that when he got out of the ring, he was oriented to his place until he was. He was able to understand commands from me, and he walked out of the ring unassisted, but he was wobbly. So by the time we got him into the ambulance, he was a little more coherent, but to be safe, a CAT scan has been ordered, and he's being examined as we speak right now.
What safeguards are in place here to try and help protect the fighters in case there is some kind of injury?
Oh, the safeguards are very good. We have an advanced life support system and a basic life support system right at ringside. We have oxygen at ringside. We have intravenous. We have the ability to intubate or to breathe for a person who can't breathe by themselves. And the ambulance is right on call, and the hospital is 2 to 3 minutes from the area with an emergency physician on call at all times. So there's very good safeguards. Makes me feel comfortable that these fighters are being taken care of correctly.
Well, you're here in a professional capacity. Tell us, both as a personal point of view and a professional point of view, what do you think of the UFC?
From a personal point of view, I enjoy the athleticism that the people exhibit. The end result, that's something that I would deal with at another time. As far as the safety standpoint, the group that runs this, SEG, is ultimately in tune with safety. We have very good pre-fight and post-fight examinations, histories and physicals. They're given HIV tests, which are all disclosed before the fights. So they have as good as any athletic commission for professional boxing that I've dealt with through my 15 years in the athletic commission.
Well, Doctor, we thank you and best of luck here this evening.
Thank you very much.
Bruce?
Okay, thank you very much, Jeffrey. So we are just a couple moments away from the start of the semifinals. And like we told you earlier, we've got the Ultimate Fighting Championship online here tonight. Jim, Jeff, and I are live in the Entertainment Drive Forum, ready to answer your questions with the help of Kevin Neenan of CompuServe. Here's how to do it. All you CompuServe members log on and go e-forum to Conference Room 1 Ultimate Fighting Championship. We'll be there waiting for you. Also, don't forget, after the show, we'll be doing a wrap-up in the same forum. One more time, if you're on CompuServe, go e-forum to Conference Room 1 Ultimate Fighting Championship and join us live. Semifinal brackets are set. It will be Tank Abbott and Paul Varland's two very big gentlemen, both around 300 pounds. And then it'll be Pat Smith against Oleg Taktarov. I think you'll see more style there, Jim, than pure brute strength.
Well, I think you're probably right. Pat Smith is going to probably try to use a lot of style. It's going to be very interesting, both of them. We don't know what's going to happen in these fights, but I know it's going to be really exciting.
I think Taktarov has a whole host of holes we never really got a chance to see. He's dangerous from every position, even from the guard. Even though he didn't really have much of a hold, one-armed, he was able to choke out.
But what I didn't notice, Jeff, is that he didn't seem to know how to punch. When they were standing up, it was almost like he was trying to reach. And Pat is a boxer, so I think that's something that would probably fall in Pat Smith's favor.
I think you're right, Jim. He's not a striker. Sambo is a seizing sport.
Okay, so we're set to go for our first semifinal of the evening. David Tank Abbott from Pit Fighting against Paul Varland from Trap Fighting. It'll be Tank Abbott making his way into the ring first. Tank Abbott made quick work of John Matua. You heard from Dr. Istrigo about the update on Matua. Abbott, a man on a mission. He says, I've had actual real-life experience using the skills I have, and that's what sets me apart. Not like these guys who think they're tough. Says, I don't know how violent I'm going to get, but if I'm unscathed going into the finals, there's going to be some popping.
Yeah.
I think we saw some popping already.
Oh, we've seen some popping.
His fists have got a little bit of dynamite in them.
The polar bear about to enter the octagon and make his long walk from the dressing room area. We're in Casper, Wyoming for almost 75 years, the city known as the oil capital of the Rockies. We're at the Casper Event Center, and Paul Varland's ready to engage David Tank Abbott in the first semifinal of the UFC 6. Varland's won in 1:05, Tank Abbott in 21 seconds.
Well, Jeff, I'm going to throw that to you again. What are you thinking of this big guy?
After what I saw, I think Abbott, because Worsham got in on Varland and was hitting him in the head. I don't think Worsham had quite the power that Tank Abbott does in those punches.
And I don't think he's quick enough, but we'll have to see. I don't know. Maybe he'll come up with something else.
Right now, let's go to Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, SMG Sports Corporation presents the first of the semifinal matchups, with the winner advancing to the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first, he's the first pit fighter to compete in the octagon with a bare knuckle record of 7-0, 30 years old, 6 feet tall, 265. He won his quarterfinal match. Now advancing to this one, they call him the Tank. He is David Abbott. And his opponent across the octagon, 6 feet 8, 300 pounds, 25 years old, advancing from his quarterfinal to this match. An expert in the art of trap fighting, undefeated in bare-knuckle matches from the Arctic north of Fairbanks, Alaska, the polar bear, Paul Varland.
Remember, Varland's had a big cut earlier on. Here's a look at the tail of the tape. Abbott 5 years older. Varland's 8 inches taller. Varland's 20 pounds heavier. Both California natives. It's the Tank against the polar bear. John McCarthy assumes the position as referee.
You ready? Let's get it on.
Look out.
Big people.
Tank quickly pushes Varlin into the fence.
And he's looking for some of that grappling skill.
Nice move by Tank.
And I have a feeling Tank Abbott's going to end this fairly quickly.
Nice control by Abbott. Varlin throws an elbow. Didn't do much damage. Tank's got him up near the fence as Varlin punches back. Abbott again on top. Big left hand by Tank Abbott, another by Abbott. Abbott pounding Varlin's head.
Keep working, let's go.
Shot to the midsection by Tank Abbott. Varlin's bleeding from the nostrils.
Well, they're up against the fence here. It's tough for either one of them to move very much. As long as Varlin has his head there, Tank can't really come upright to punch at the head.
Tank with the shot to the midsection, down to the head. Tank Abbott trying to finish. Varlin's trying to still push him off. Tank's got his knee in his face. Varlin's bloody in the nostrils. Tank is using that fence as a weapon.
He's kneeing Varlin in the head, and he's enjoying doing it here. Look at him look up.
He's smiling at the crowd. Oh my, a couple big shots to the head by Abbott. And that is it. John McCarthy stopped it. John McCarthy stopped the bout. Varlin doesn't want to stop. But McCarthy cools him off quickly. Oh, is he upset?
Judgment call, referee felt it should be stopped.
A minute 51. Tank Abbott is into the finals. McCarthy raises the hand of the Tank. Undefeated in bare knuckle matches, and that streak continues. Jim Varlin just did not want to quit.
It's a very tough call. He could have been maimed because his face was exposed, and I was happy that the referee stopped it.
I agree.
He came up with a lot of energy. He wasn't tired. He had a lot of heart, but I don't want to see him maimed in the face.
Here's Tank's aggressiveness early on. He went right for the leg and wanted to do his work on the ground.
Yes. I think he's a striker, basically, because he knows he can punch.
And he used the fence here as a vehicle.
He used the fence, he used the knee, he was composed.
We haven't seen much of that with the smile. Usually you see more respect.
This guy is different. He has no respect. He's from the street. He's doing a lot of things that are different. It has nothing to do with the martial arts. This guy is a street fighter.
Here's Jeff Blattman.
Tank, you said you could do anything. You had a lot of surprises. You turned to a little bit of grappling there.
Sure did. He said earlier in his little preview thing, he likes to take people down and tickle them. I just want to tickle his brain a little bit.
Let's take a look at the finish here. Why don't you give us a little commentary on the finish?
Well, all I'm doing is, woo, I'm starting to get sexually aroused. You better get that off.
Well, Tank, you've taken out the two biggest men here at this UFC.
That's right. What can you say? Wait till you see me in the finals. It'll turn into a skill match. Everybody will see the skills I have.
Well, Tank, we wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, Jeff.
Tank Abbott is on to the finals, and he will get a little bit of a break because we will have the super fight before we get to the finals of the UFC. So Tank's got a little time now, although he's only been in the octagon for a total of 2 minutes and 12 seconds. 21 seconds in the first round, a minute 51 in the semifinals.
In his interview, he had the same attitude that he has now.
Yes, he did.
I've never seen anyone that talked the talk and backed it up.
And walked the walk.
Walked the walk, no doubt about it.
Well, we've received word that Pat Smith has stomach cramps, so there is a delay here in the next bout, which is Smith and Taktarov.
I liked what Jim had to say there. Normally here, and then the 3 UFCs I've been to, normally the biggest talkers are those that don't have a lot of wallop behind their fighting skills.
Absolutely. The guy's fighting exactly like he said. We don't know what he's going to do.
He's definitely displayed the fact he's a heavy puncher, and he also had said that, and I know he's worked out with some very good wrestlers in preparation for this, that he had some grappling skill, and that was evident. He took the big guy down after exchanging a couple shots, and once he got Varlin down, it seemed that Varlin couldn't solve the riddle of how to protect himself from those big blows.
Not quick enough.
Jim, do you think he's the meanest one we've seen?
Yeah, he's evil.
Jim,
he likes it. He likes pain. He likes violence, and he's awfully confident.
And Jim, in this first open style martial arts tournament competition, the UFC, the toughest martial arts event in the world, we've seen mutual respect. We have not seen laughing or that smirk in the ring at all. That is surprising.
Well, it is surprising. Like I say, he has a background that's quite different from most of these guys.
The doctor is backstage right now checking out Pat Smith. If for some reason he cannot continue, they will go with the first alternate. And that would be Anthony Macias. There's Joel Sutton, who won in his alternate bout, but he's unable to continue, so he would not be an alternate. We understand that Guy Mezger, who has been in the UFC before, would be the second alternate following Anthony Macias. Mezger's actually working in a corner tonight
with
Oleg
Taktarov.
Taktarov. So here's where we stand right now. Tank Abbott will advance to the championship to take on the winner of Pat Smith if he does compete, and Oleg Taktarov. Don't forget the super fight still ahead. Ken Shamrock, Dan Severn, in what should be a dandy, guys. Jim, your thoughts for a moment as we peer ahead to Shamrock and Severn.
Well, I tell you, it's got everybody excited. It's going to be a wide open fight. Both of them said that. They're not going to just lay on the mat. There's going to be punching. There's going to be kneeing. There's going to be a lot of wrestling. So, Jeff, I know you know there's going to be a lot of good wrestling.
I think so. And if it is Macias who gets in there against Tank Abbott, excuse me, against Pat Smith, I think that against Oleg Taktarov, he's replacing Pat Smith, I think that could be some trouble from Macias. I think Taktarov is a lot bigger than he is, and I think he's more skilled on the ground at submission holds. And as far as the Severn Shamrock match comes up, really, you've got 2 grapplers there, Jim, and you're right. I expect this thing to go to the ground, but it's, I think, the person who's going to be on top when they hit the ground is going to be the eventual victor.
Okay.
All right, so we continue to wait to see what will happen to Pat Smith, who won by a choke over Rudyard Moncayo in his opening round match.
Well, Smith has not thrown in the towel here yet either, so he's probably getting checked out and seeing what's wrong. He didn't have what seemed to be a very difficult fight. He seemed to control most of it.
But he seemed awfully winded.
He did. He was
He
sweating
could hardly
profusely.
talk to you, yes.
That's right. And this altitude, we have to point out once again, 5,140 feet above sea level. I mean, Jeff and I noticed it yesterday when we played basketball.
You call that basketball?
David Hasselhoff and Leon Spinks among the celebrities in attendance here tonight at the CASPER Event Center.
Behind him, some people with some Severn shirts on, so Severn has got himself a following here.
Leon Spinks, the former heavyweight champion of the world, he was cruising town last night, doing a little shaking and baking.
Yes, sir. He was doing the funky chicken the night before his fight, his championship fight, and out in the neighborhood scaling fish with his friends. He's always been a great guy, but never a lot of discipline. I like him, though.
Well, Leon is actually considering looking at UFC 7 in Buffalo.
Yeah, so am I.
As a potential fighter.
Oh, baby, has this been some kind of action-packed evening, and I don't think that child should be in attendance.
Well, that baby's sleeping, my man. He don't care. Baby's laid out. Look at it. Or her. I don't know which one it is.
So still waiting on Pat Smith. If he cannot come in, it will be Macias. Oleg Taktarov now has to wait around, and what would go through his mind, Jim? Anything, you know, when you're waiting for an opponent, wondering what's going to be going on, and now you're thinking you're fighting one guy and you're going to fight another?
Well, you better ask Jeff that question. You know, he's the big wrestler.
Yeah, I did.
Football player.
I leaned on him.
Well, I would tend to think Macias has got a pretty good background in wrestling, but I don't think he possesses the kind of punching or striking that's going to take Taktarov out. And if it comes to purely a battle on the ground, I have to give the edge to Taktarov. He knows more submission holds there. Macias is more of a kickboxer. He'll use his knees. Yes, he's proficient at choking and those kinds of things, but only if the opportunity really presents itself. Taktarov can create his own opportunities. That's why I give him the edge.
There's a look at our ring card, girls, here in Casper. Charming city in Wyoming, 47,000 people, second largest city in Wyoming. If you've got the Casper Mountains and the mighty Platte.
You know, here it looks like the world is round, and you see 360 degrees of sky, and you think you can actually walk off of it. It's a beautiful place.
Oh, by the way, there is a full moon tonight. It looks as though Pat Smith will be out, and that means Macias. Well, Anthony Macias, from what we understand, has refused to continue. It's his friend, and he refuses to fight Oleg Taktarov.
And Metzger actually trained with Taktarov.
I know. I don't know what he will do.
And he actually, in one UFC, would not fight from the alternate because he had a fight against a friend. So we're starting to see it's a small world here with these kinds of fighters.
Absolutely. It is possible that if there's no alternates left, Taktarov would advance to the finals with a bye. So we'll have to wait and see what unfolds.
Well, I don't think Tank would care. I think Tank will take him on anyway, even though he wouldn't have to have another fight.
I think so, too. And I don't
if
think
the Tank got there. Well, he is there.
He's there.
What am I talking about?
I don't think he'd have a problem. The commissioner, Ron Van Cleef, is now, and 8% of our audience right now saying it will be a draw. So that's the way the viewers are approaching that super fight right now.
I don't see it as a draw. There's no way that fight's going to go to a draw. There's going to be a winner, and it's probably either going to come real quick or about the 7-8 minute mark.
All right, the commissioner, Ron Van Cleef, has ruled that it will be Anthony Macias who will go into the octagon against Oleg Taktarov, and two friends will do battle. So we've always seen an alternate situation, and once again we do tonight, because it's difficult to continue.
Let me interject. Why in this particular contest friends don't want to fight friends? In everything else they do it.
I don't know, Jim. What is your answer?
I don't know.
You posed the question. I figured you had something
I was trying to get information.
Up.
Maybe Jeff knows.
I have no idea. Certainly it is a sport, and if you're going to say let's play, then you take on whoever's in front of you or who you're supposed to.
You're doggone right. I played against a lot of friends.
It has to be a question of confidence at this point on Macias's part. Maybe in the training with Taktarov and watching him and getting close to him, he realized he didn't have the skills to be able to fight him. And we also hope that if Macias does get in the ring with him, he gives us his best.
Anthony Macias, the Mad Dog, representing Muay Thai or Thai boxing. A winner earlier this evening in the alternate bout. Macias over He-Man Gibson in 3:06. He had a beautiful reversal in that match. He-Man Gibson eventually tapped out. He is friends with Taktarov. Taktarov came to America, I think, 7 months ago. His best friends are Shamrock, Macias, Metzger. He's got all the guys in the UFC.
Well, I guess if you're going to learn from the people who've been there with experience, you want to befriend some of these guys, but it also dispels the hatred factor. A lot of people think they come in here absolutely hating everyone, and we've really seen that that's a rarity.
This is too tough to hate people in.
You've got to have respect for that individual.
In football, we had a lot of respect for our opponents because we had to all survive. And when you play in a game like this, a game like football, you have a lot of pride in being able to survive. You're glad to shake the hand of your opponent with respect.
Gentlemen, let's take a look now at the new bracket. Oleg Taktarov and Anthony Macias, the next bout due up. Taktarov, the Sambo world champion. Anthony Macias, Muay Thai or Thai boxing, 38-4. Taktarov will make his way into the octagon. OLEG Taktarov. He started Sambo at age 15. Served 2 years in the Russian military. He teaches at the World Academy of Sambo in Gorky, 200 miles outside of Moscow. He likes being on the freeway, and he enjoys American women.
Uh-oh. Join the camp.
So friends meet in the octagon. Taktarov and his opponent, Anthony Mad Dog Macias. He's a professional Muay Thai boxer and a UFC veteran. When the gate shuts behind him, his opponents will learn why they call him Mad Dog.
I've been really concentrating on my training since the last UFC. I've got my head on straight. I'm a live wire. Just shut that gate and let me go.
Here comes the Mad Dog, Anthony Macias. He lost to Dan Severn in the first UFC 4, and that was the amazing shot you see from time to time, the back suplex that Severn nailed him with. He's been a street fighter since he was a kid, studying karate since age 12. He says on Dan Severn that he was a monster. Once he got a hold of me, it was over. He's been working out with Guy Metzger and some judo people for the past 6 months and grappling with another former UFC competitor, Andy Anderson. He says, if I lose tonight, I'm history. My career is over. For the particulars of the introductions, let's go to Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this semifinal matchup will meet David Tank Abbott in the UFC Championship Final. Introducing first, fighting out of Lockford, California by way of Gorky, Russia, 27 years old, 6 feet tall, 215 pounds, and he's captured multiple world martial arts titles. Ladies and gentlemen, the Russian Bear, Oleg Taktarov. And his opponent, across the octagon, substituting for Pat Smith tonight, who was unable to continue. He was the winner earlier tonight of his alternate battle, fighting out of Dallas, Texas. He's a professional Thai kickboxer with a record of 38-4, 32 by knockout. 26 years old, standing 5 feet 10 and weighing 190 pounds. He is Anthony Mad Dog Macias.
Taktarov against Macias. The tail of the tape. Not much difference in size. Taktarov a little bit bigger, which is unusual for him. He is from Gorky, Russia, born in Sarov, Russia. Macias from Dallas, born in Oklahoma City.
They both have the same promoter, Buddy Albin. And Albin has chosen to go in Taktarov's corner for this particular fight.
The winner has the unenviable task right now of taking on Tank Abbott in the championship of UFC 6.
Let's get it on.
They get it on. Macias goes for the leg of Taktarov.
Oh, here's a choke right now.
Oh,
Taktarov's got him in a choke.
That's it. Tap out. It was lightning quick.
Good job. Good job.
But choked by Taktarov. Wow, was that quick? I don't think Macias wanted to be in there.
Yeah, we got to be honest.
You have to wonder.
No, you got to be honest.
You got to wonder here.
No, it's not good. But it might be good for us because Taktarov will be ready for the final.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner.
All right, Jim, I know what you're thinking. I'm thinking the same thing. He just comes in there, shoots the leg. Taktarov sets him up in perfect position for the choke. It only took 21 seconds.
Yes.
You're not happy about it.
Well, I wasn't really happy about the whole thing of friendship.
OLEG, you had a great bout there. He took a shot on your legs, a wrestler's double leg. You overhooked the head. What'd you do from there?
Guys, I have experience 15 years. Maybe this guy is a good kickboxer, but he's too small for grappler, I think. I feel very bad that I couldn't fight with Pat Smith. It was my dream. I wanted to make him leg choke and leg locks, or a knee block, or ankle locks, because I know nobody in America knows this stuff.
Well, you're 2 for 2 with chokes. You got Tank Abbott. Can we look for you to put a choke on Abbott tonight?
It's just a case. Guys shoot me first. I have no chance, just choke.
Well, Oleg, we wish you luck against Abbott tonight.
Okay, thanks.
Bruce?
Taktarov wins in 12 seconds is the official timer now given, as Guy Mensker talks to his friend Andy Anderson, also walking out with Mad Dog Macias, who never had a shot. Well, it has been anything but boring. Semifinal matchup becomes a final matchup. Abbott and Taktarov, and that is a beaut on paper. You've got the power of Abbott, although he says we will see some skill in the championship, and you've got Taktarov, master of the discipline of Sambo. So it will be Taktarov against Abbott. And what a wild evening it has been thus far. It began with the absolute wild first fight with Tank Abbott over John Matua in 21 seconds. And from that point on, Jim, this night has just been wild.
It's been a great night, and I think we're very fortunate, too, to have a final. I think both men are ready. I think this fight was good because it's over quickly, and it's going to give that American public and the international public a great view of two guys that are going to be exciting fighting against each other. So I'm happy it happened this way.
Jeff?
I see it as a real conflict in styles. Yes, Abbott showed some grappling techniques in that last fight. He said he has surprises yet to come. I look at Taktarov. He is really a consummate ground fighter. He's very proficient at chokes. He also knows some submission locks, joint locks. So I look at this as really an interesting style of clashes.
You're wondering a little bit, as Jim and I did, about that last fight and why it happened so quickly, almost like two friends getting in there?
You could certainly bring question. You know, they had the same promoter. Maybe Macias wasn't ready because Pat Smith canceled at such a late point prior to his scheduled fight. Certainly you can question that. You know, there's no doubt. These two know each other, and Macias says they're friends.
Jim, we've seen several UFCs before, but tonight's level of power has certainly exceeded all the ones we've seen before.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Pat Smith is here. He couldn't continue. We could judge it by that. You've had guys that are weighing 400 pounds, 300 pounds that can actually fight. You got a 260-pounder. You got a 210-pounder. And you have a super heavyweight, I call it super heavyweight fight between two guys that can truly fight technique. This is a great night, no doubt about it.
Good or bad that we're seeing the increase in size in the UFC?
Well, it's good because people are wondering about big guys. You know, Horace Gracie is a wonderful champion, but if you took someone the size of a SEVERN and taught him the techniques, if he had the techniques, it would be very difficult for a small man. So it gives us, it supports the fact that a big man, a big good man can defeat, I'm sorry, a good little man.
Oh, okay, Jim, I know what you're talking about. But it should be a dandy of a championship, Tank Abbott and Oleg Taktarov. You want to venture any opinion at this point?
Well, I tell you, you know, it's going to be a mystery because the Tank can punch. And he's what we might call a dirty fighter in a fight where you have no rules, which seems crazy. But I said he's evil, he wants to win, he's cocky, he's said everything and he's done everything that he said. Yet you have a man that says he knows techniques that nobody in America knows. So those techniques are going to have to come out against the Tank. And if he can beat the Tank, that's the good guy against the bad guy. So we have a perfect setup here.
Good to have you close on a night such as this with controversy. I'll tell you, I wouldn't mind running behind you on any day.
Well, man, I don't mind controversy. You know, I've been controversial all my life. But I'm sitting over here with you, you know, a nice guy. great job you've been doing tonight. Hey, you know, you got to have different kind of people.
When you look at this UFC, I mean, right now we're seeing a giant escalation of the talent level.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think that the producers of this show, the vice president, all of these people have put together something exciting for the general public. They have not taken the money and run. They have put the money back into the product, and they're reaching out and making it bigger and better.
Does it worry you that we could see, you know, a very, very dangerous situation unfold as we did earlier tonight with Matua?
Well, yes, I do worry about that. I was so glad that that didn't occur again, because for the first time in all 6 of these fights, I saw a man that I thought could really be hurt permanently.
Well, we understand that John Matua was sent, as Dr. Istrigo said, to the nearby hospital. He had a concussion. He did suffer a head injury, but when he left the arena, he was conscious, and they are right now giving John Matua a CAT scan. Okay, we talked a little bit earlier on the question for you at home, so let's take a look at the numbers on the internet survey. Who would win the super fight? The new numbers are in, and still Dan Severn leads 55% to 39%, with 6% feeling that this one will end up as a draw. It will be our next bout tonight, the super fight between 2 great fighters, Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock. So it's Severn and Shamrock coming up next. Then we'll have the championship between Tank Abbott and Oleg Taktarov. Well, we talked about the super fight for a while. Ken Shamrock has never won a UFC. However, it will be his 4th UFC. He's 3-1-1 with 1 no contest. And for Dan Severn, he was the runner-up to Royce Gracie in UFC 4, and then he was the decided victor in UFC 5, so he earned the super fight status for tonight. So it's Severn and Shamrock. And recently, Jim, as early as Thursday of this week, they both were in a television interview, and Dan Severn didn't like the way it was handled, and he walked out of the room, and it really bothered Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, that's true. Kenny said that there was no respect given to him, but then Dan explained that he meant no disrespect, but he wanted to be able to talk and be free, and of course have Ken do the same thing. But one side note, both of them went to a karate institution here and talked to the kids, so they've both been doing some wonderful charity work in this town.
Severn and Shamrock coming up. Severn, a wrestler. Shamrock, shoot fighter, the Japanese pancrase shoot fighting champion. Severn, by the way, in the UFC has lost only once. That was to Royce Gracie. Well, for those of you who have been clamoring for official Ultimate Fighting Championship merchandise, here it is. Caps, t-shirts, baseball jerseys, sweatpants, and more, all made in the USA of 100% heavyweight cotton, plus other items from UFC 6. And now, for the first time, UFC pendants. This is the official gear. Also, we have videos of tonight's event, plus the Ultimate Fighting Championships 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you've tried to get one of these videos in the stores, you know how hard it is to find one before they sell out. Now you can order them from your own home. For Ultimate Apparel, call Full Contact Sports at 1-800-525-6465. And for those of you on the internet, you can find all the latest UFC information on our worldwide website tonight. Also, we've got the CompuServe Entertainment Drive working, so we hope that you will share the excitement tonight with us on the Super Information Highway. Once again, for those of you on the internet, you can find all the latest UFC information on our worldwide web site, located at the address on your screen, the UFC homepage.
I was rooting for you.
So we're getting set for the big super fight. Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock. Right now, a closer look at Ken Shamrock. In Japan, he's a legend. In North America, his reputation is growing. Just ask Pat Smith in UFC 1. In a minute, 49 seconds, Smith fell victim to a Shamrock closing technique in ankle lock. But in the semis of UFC 1, another closing specialist did him one better. Royce Gracie exercised a naked choke. 57 seconds in, Shamrock had no choice but to tap out. looking for revenge. He put away Christoph Leninger with a strike in the opening round of UFC 3. And then he won a war with Kung Fu Kingpin Felix Lee Mitchell in the semifinals. But with Gracie out of the finals, an exhausted Shamrock chose not to continue to the championship bout. Shamrock got his wish in the first ever super fight, a match with Royce Gracie. It evolved into a battle of wills. Shamrock landed the most significant blow in the event, a right hand at the start of overtime. The bout ended in a draw after 35 minutes. And Shamrock says a draw is a loss to him. So tonight, he seeks redemption, this time against Dan Severn. So a lot of people in the audience tonight taking in the action. Plenty of celebrities also on the grounds. David Hasselhoff, one of them, standing by with our own Jeff Blatnick.
Bang, certainly the UFC has its fair share of celebrities here. I'm here with David Hasselhoff, current star of Baywatch. And Dave, why are you here?
Oh, I'm here for several reasons. I'm actually celebrating my birthday. I got a bunch of my buddies. We're on our way to Minneapolis to do the Mall of America. I'm going to be doing a concert there tomorrow, and then back to Baywatch. But I'm doing a new series called Baywatch Nights, and I'm kind of here for research. I'm a big boxing fan, and I saw this on tape, and I was absolutely riveted to it, and everybody on Baywatch Nights was, and we want to do an episode about this, and I'm just kind of see what it's all about, and it's unbelievable. It's incredible.
I understand you have a new album also.
Right. I started off in Europe, you know, when Knight Rider was canceled. I went over to Europe and sold about 6 million records, and now I'm bringing it to America for the first time. I got a single out called Falling in Love, and it's beginning to make some noise, and especially in New York area. So I'm just going around the country doing what I want to do now, because Baywatch is, you know, went from a show that was canceled to #1, so that thing is surfing along great, you know. So now we're kind of branching out and doing what we want to do.
Well, you mentioned you were a big boxing fan. What do you think sets the UFC apart?
It brings in a martial artist against a wrestler. It brings in a pit fighter against a wrestler. It combines techniques that you don't get in boxing. You know, I'm not a real big fan of the brutal fights, you know, because a couple that were a little bit too brutal for me. I like the ones that are finesse, you know, with Royce Gracie and the ones in Daniel Severn where they really get down and they have to outmaneuver themselves. Then it becomes almost like an art form, and like wrestling. I was a big fan of wrestling in high school.
As far as the mask goes, would you say it's the violence or the brutality or the science behind the art?
It's something like Baywatch. It has something in it for everyone. So you got guys up here who just love to see someone get KO'd, and they're behind me, and I'm going, oh, I don't like that. I like to see the science behind the movement. So it's something in it for everyone, and I don't know. We sure had to run the gamut tonight. You know, the Tank. Wow.
Well, there's no doubt you'd always have this clash of styles between those kinds of fighters. It certainly dictates the kind of success you have if your style has that kind of strength. And David, your style is, you seem to be very successful both in the music world and the acting world. We want to wish you the best of luck.
Thanks a lot. I'm a lucky guy.
Certainly welcome. Back to Bruce.
Okay, Jeff, so it will be Ken Shamrock, Dan Severn next. We've already met Ken Shamrock, and right now we want to take a closer look at Daniel Severn from Coldwater, Michigan. He's 6'2", 260 pounds. He acts bigger. No wonder Dan Severn is called the Beast. His strength, besides his pure strength, is his intensity. He made a splash with a shoot in UFC 4 and choked out Anthony Macias in the first round. Then he hopped all over the grasshopper, Marcus Bossett, and in less than a minute, he advanced to the finals of his first UFC. In the final, he took the mounted position against the king of the grapplers, Royce Gracie, but after 15 minutes, one mistake cost him the match as Gracie choked him out. Severn came back with a vengeance in UFC 5, choking out Joe Charles in 1:39. He answered the question of whether he could finish or not when he pummeled Oleg Taktarov in the semis. And he dominated the final from the opening against Dave Beneteau, forcing the Canadian into the fence of the octagon and then ending it with an arm lock at 3 minutes even. The Beast celebrated the Beneteau blowout and confirmed his status as a super fighter in UFCs to come. Tonight, the Beast is back. Well, don't forget, we've got another UFC coming up. It'll be number 7, and it will be back east in Buffalo, New York. That's right, September 8th. We'll be telling you how you can buy tickets now for that event later on the show. So UFC 7 coming up in Buffalo on September the 8th. Well, Jeff Blatnick is standing by with a fighter we expect to see in the future in the UFC. Let's go to Jeff right now.
I'm here with Marcos Ruas, a very competent fighter from Brazil and hopefully a participant in UFC 7. And Marcos, you've seen some of the fighters here tonight and what it takes to be successful in the octagon. How do you think you stack up?
Está querendo saber como é que você acha que você vai fazer na luta do Ultimate.
Eu venho me preparando há muitos anos, estou pronto para ganhar eles. Muito tempo que eu venho nessa preparação e estou tranquilamente, sei que vou me dar bem.
He's been preparing himself for this type of competition for a long time, so he believes he'll do well in this competition.
Well, what sort of skills can you bring into the octagon that would help you win?
Qual é a habilidade que você vai trazer para o octagon, para esse ringue que vai lhe ajudar a vencer?
Vai ter um equilíbrio das três técnicas, a parte técnica, a parte física e a parte espiritual também, que eu acho muito importante.
He has an equal balance of the spiritual side, the psychological, and the technical.
Okay, there seems to be a mystique about Brazilian fighters. Royce Gracie's done very, very well here. They seem to be some of the toughest in the world. Do you feel Brazilian fighters are tougher than American fighters?
Aparentemente, os lutadores brasileiros se dão muito bem nas competições, Royce Gracie. E ele quer saber se existe algum místico entre os lutadores brasileiros. O que é que você acha?
Eu acho que o Brasil já tem uma tradição de muitos anos, mais de 60 anos. Essa acho que é a vantagem. Já nasceu com isso há muitos anos.
Brazil has been competing in this type of competition for over 60 years, so he feels that's the upper hand we have over the Americans.
Is there anyone that you've seen here tonight that you would like to fight in UFC 7?
Is there anybody here? Tem alguém aqui que tu gostaria de lutar em particular?
Dan Severn, Ken Shamrock.
Dan Severn or Ken Shamrock.
Well, Marcos, we look forward to hopefully seeing you compete in UFC 7.
Porque eles estão esperando ansiosamente que você venha lutar no Ultimate número 7.
É um prazer.
My pleasure.
Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Jeff. UFC 7 could see that gentleman. From what we hear, he has lots of talent. Well, don't forget, folks, we have something new at the UFC Fight Line History Trivia Interviews and Contests. Hosted by me, we have the results of our Super Fight Bowl. Who you will think will win the Super Fight, and overwhelmingly, you thought that the commish would win it. Let's see if you were right, and check back with us on the Fight Line after the bout. We'll have an interview with the winner in the U.S. Call 1-900-RUN-4-UFC. In Canada, 1-900-451-3929. $1.99 per minute U.S., $2.49 per minute in Canada. Kids under 18, ask your parents. Here we go. UFC 6 Super Fight. Daniel Severin, Ken Shamrock. Two masters of their discipline. Let's meet one of our competitors. A three-time UFC star, a Super Fight veteran, and the Pancrase Association World Champion, Ken Shamrock is one of the most popular and respected fighters in the octagon. Let's see what he can do tonight.
I've heard all the hype. I've seen all the press. It's time to step into the octagon and see if Shamrock can't tame Dan the Beast Severn.
Ken Shamrock, Pancrase Association Shoot Fighting Champion. His third UFC. He lost to Royce Gracie. He had a draw with Royce Gracie. 4 years as a shoot fighter, goes to Japan 8 times a year, managed by Bob Shamrock. In 1977, Ken, a troubled 13-year-old, was adopted by Bob. Bob, who runs the Shamrock Home for Boys, which opened in 1968. And the two are inseparable today. A marvelous story of a man opening up his house and his heart to a troubled youth.
He also made a donation to a youth program here at the local YMCA, both going in and meeting some of these kids, as well as donating $500 to help buy some mats.
Jim, let's look at the shoot fighting things we might see from Shamrock tonight.
Well, of course, he's a grappler. He also throws punches. He deals with arm and leg locks. He put a lock on Pat Smith, and he is a master of submission.
Ken Shamrock from Lockford, California. That's in the Sacramento area, about 40 miles south. Last couple of years, he's also fought in Muay Thai. And there's the Shamrock fans. Shamrock, any of a certain clovers or clover-like plants with leaflets in groups of 3. There's Bob Shamrock, and he is intense when he's watching his son compete.
Well, I'm not sure if the camera caught it, but Ken Shamrock went over there and gave him a kiss on the forehead. Shamrock comes in with 3 flags, the American flag, the Japanese flag, and his Lion's Den flag, Lion's Den being the name of his school.
A lot of flags, a lot of experience.
His opponent tonight in the super fight, the Beast.
To the right a little bit, just a little bit. I want to see the belt.
Very narrowly missed taking the title in UFC 4. Dan Severn tore through the competition in UFC 5 to be named the Ultimate Fighting Champion. Tonight, the Beast is back, and he's ready to show the world the meaning of the word super fight.
I've turned up the intensity for this fight. And when I step into the octagon, the person that you see right now will be stepping aside. When that deadbolt slams shut, there'll be time to release the Beast.
Here comes Daniel Severn. He has won so many titles. 1994 National AAU Greco-Roman Champion Senior Division. 1994 National AAU Outstanding Wrestler. National AAU Sambo Champion Senior Division. AAU Sambo World Champion Masters Division. 70-plus titles. I think he's actually found a home, Jim, in the UFC.
Yes, he loves it. He's perfectly matched in this kind of a situation. He approaches it properly. He's grateful for the notoriety he's getting, and he's learning more and more each fight.
Jeff Blatnick, you know his discipline well.
Well, he's a former wrestler. Obviously, he relies on grappling skills to dictate the situation. He'd like to knock you down, get on top of you. He has a number of different finishes that we saw in UFC 5, prominent being a choke, or of course, punching his opponent. In the corner will be Eric Heibestreit. He will be the man with the towel, and his manager, Phyllis Lee, and wants to say hello to Ohio.
This is the super fight, 30-minute time limit, 5-minute overtime. 50,000 to the winner, 25,000 to the runner-up, 30,000 each if there's a draw. Let's go to Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, SEG Sports Corporation presents the Super Fight. 30-minute time limit in a matchup of 2 of the most dangerous men in martial arts in the world today. Ladies and gentlemen, from Casper, Wyoming, there's only one thing left to say. Let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, a 2-time veteran of the Ultimate Fighting Championship and returning super fighter. Fighting out of Lockford, California, he's ranked #1 in the world by the Japanese Pancrase Association. From Lockford, California, 31 years old, 6 feet tall, 220 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the shoot fighting champion of the world, Ken Shamrock. And his opponent across the octagon, returning tonight as the reigning Ultimate Fighting Champion, a wrestler with over 70 national and international titles to his credit, a record of 5-1 in the UFC competition. He's 37 years old and comes in weighing 260 pounds. He's 6'2", from Coldwater, Michigan. He is the reigning Ultimate Fighting Champion of the world, Dan the Beast Severn.
Weight could be a big factor here. SEVERN is at 260. Shamrock's up to 225 from 205. 6'2" for SEVERN, 6 foot for Shamrock. Keep in mind the altitude, 5,140 feet. They can grapple for as long as 35 minutes tonight. 30-minute time limit, 5-minute overtime. I don't expect it to go that long.
Are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
There was lots of concern about a time limit. I don't think that's going to happen. These two are very evenly matched. If it comes down to grappling, I give the edge to SEVERN. If it comes down to punching, particularly on the feet, I'm going to give it to Shamrock. And here's that wrestling background. They're tying up.
SEVERN with the weight advantage. SEVERN black trunks. Shamrock in the lavender trunks.
And Shamrock, during our interview with him, said people don't respect my grappling ability. I think he wants to show people he's a very competent wrestler here. And this is one of the few fights we see where they're not striking in close, they're literally wrestling.
Who will make the first effective move? SEVERN reaching for the leg, couldn't get it. Shamrock showing surprising power, standing up on his feet, despite giving away the weight. John McCarthy clears an object out of the ring.
But people who don't know wrestling are seeing this and they're wondering what's going on. And this might be frustrating for SEVERN because Shamrock's just coming in there, trying to just tie SEVERN up. Let's see now if something else happens.
A restart for the two, and they'll go at it again. This is the UFC at its finest. Cat and mouse game between two masters of their disciplines.
Fatigue is so important in this fight. I think SEVERN knows that.
SEVERN and Shamrock continue to grapple on their feet.
Shamrock doing a very nice job of keeping himself away from the fence. Now we'll see what he can do.
SEVERN's got a
choke.
leg.
That's a choke. Oh, SEVERN got out of it.
Still fighting for the advantage.
Shamrock doing a nice job here. He's going for the choke again.
Shamrock trying to work in on the choke. SEVERN punching to the leg.
That's it. That's it. SEVERN choke. Got choked out.
Performance by Shamrock. What power he showed on his feet. Oh, there'll be plenty of respect now for Ken Shamrock.
He knew what he was doing.
Shamrock wins the super fight. And look at that, Jim. Look at this. This is what makes this event unique.
Oh, yes. That's the technique and the respect that Dave Hasselhoff is talking about.
Ken Shamrock with the win in the super fight. He had a chance at a choke, goes and gives Phyllis Lee, the manager of Dan Severn, a big hug and kiss. Unbelievable. All week, Shamrock said how tough he is, how little respect he gets. He'll get plenty now.
Oh, yes, he showed a lot of grappling skills, a lot of wrestling skills. He took his time, he waited, he knew that he had technique, and he used it.
Oh, my God, his dad, Bob, tried to pick him up and fell down.
A lot of love there. I like to see that, father and son.
2 minutes and 15 seconds. 2 minutes and 15 seconds. The time of the bout. Shamrock getting a big kiss from his wife, Tina. He wins the super fight. He's been a lot of UFCs. He's never won a title, Jim.
I know, but he's been such a great competitor. He's always had to come back. You all know what you're doing here.
He said, I believe my style is stronger than his, and he proved it. The super fight belt belongs to Shamrock. Bob Shamrock, part of the celebration team. Oh, Ken Shamrock thrilled. He lost to Hoist Gracie. He drew with Gracie in the super fight. And now he's up on the apron of the octagon, enjoying his moment. And what a moment it is. What a tremendous competitor.
It's beautiful to see something like this, Bruce.
And Jim, early on I said, oh, it's surprising the strength that he's showing standing on his feet, giving away so much weight. I don't think he would have said the same thing.
Well, see, he gained 10 pounds, I think. No,
20
pounds.
Here was the try at the, he had a chance a couple times at chokes. I think there's one of them right there. Watch Severn get out.
Dan got out of this one, yes.
He got out of the first one.
But I think that Dan realized that this altitude was going to take a lot out of him, because when he stood up, I don't think he believed he could win this fight.
The upper body strength of Shamrock proved to be the difference, as well as his technique.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. He's very strong, but he also has that technique, and that choke is, he almost had it twice, so it means that he probably has much more technique than.
Let's go to Jeff.
I'm here with the victorious Ken Shamrock, winner of the super fight. And Ken, you tamed the beast.
I sure did, you know. It's a lot of speculation about my technique, and that I couldn't wrestle with him on the ground. And if he took me to the ground, he'd win. And he's Greco-Roman. He couldn't take me down, he can't throw me. I proved my ability. I can do submission and I can wrestle.
Well, there was no doubt you seemed to come up there and not mind tying up with a wrestler. You said people don't respect my grappling ability. It seemed you were quite content to stay in that locked position, make him spend energy.
I want him to throw me. I want to see if he can throw me. If he threw me, then I'd go from there. I want to test his ability. I want to see what he had. Found out he's strong. He's got good balance. But, you know, I was able to hold him off.
Was there any special way you prepared for Severn?
Yeah. I've got my big friend Scott, who's one in my dojo. He's about 260, 270. I believe he'll be on altar in the next event. So I used him to lay on top of me. I used him to crowd me up against the fence. I practiced the guillotine because I saw him duck his head a lot to grab a leg. So I knew he was going to do that. I wanted to wear him down a little bit in the middle of the ring, make him use some energy trying to take me down. I knew he was going to drive me into the fence. So as soon as I felt he was a little tired, I let him drive into the fence. I knew he was going to reach for the leg. I ran down and choked him.
It seemed you applied that choke the first time and he was able to get out of it.
Barely. I didn't have it sunk in real deep. That one I was going for the Adam's apple. I was trying to put the bone on the Adam's apple, make him tap quick. But I missed the Adam's apple. The second time I just sunk it in and choked him.
Were you surprised that when he shot there, he just left his head between your legs where you could easily grab it?
No, he's done that before. Every time he puts somebody in the fence, he reaches up for the head and reaches down for the leg. So I had to clear my head, then go for his head.
What's next for Ken Shamrock?
I don't know. I'm going to enjoy this victory, and we'll see what's going to happen next.
Well, as a wrestler, you've earned my respect as a wrestler.
I sure appreciate it, because a lot of people had doubted me against Severn because he was a grappler. And I stayed in the guard with Gracie. So no one really knew what I could do because of Gracie's technique. He keeps people out of using their own technique by keeping them in the guard. So Gracie's good at doing that. But people don't really know when I get wide open, I can do a lot of stuff.
Seems you have another very special person here with you.
Yeah, this is my wife. She's been to all of them also. I think she's better. She's my toughest opponent.
Well, you said you wanted to happy and celebrate this moment. Why don't you take a look here at the monitor and watch yourself in the ring after that fight?
Well, I was pretty happy right there because I knew he was tough. And I just tried to wear him down and choke him out. I knew if I went for a leg, it was going to be tough. I had to get in the right position. But he ducked his head. I was working on that. He did what I thought he'd do. I choked him.
Well, it's obvious your father means a great deal to you. Your wife's here at your side during the super fight. She means a great deal to her. And obviously, this sport, the UFC, seems to mean a great deal to you.
Yeah, I'd like to say hi to my compadres, Felipe and Stella, Gabi, Adriana, Angelica, and Robert, Yolanda, and my three sons, Ryan, Connor, and Shamrock. I love you guys.
How about that belt? How about that belt? How's that feel around your waist?
That's a sweet victory. You know, no one's ever won the super bout. Last time was a draw. I'm the first champion in the super bout. I'm the first champion in Japan. I'm very happy about some of the stuff that I've succeeded at, and I'm going to keep going.
Well, you're a deserved champion. Ken Shamrock, congratulations on your super fight victory. Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you.
That's right. He is the first super fight champ, and there's the first super fight champion's dad. Bob Shamrock, who adopted Ken, a troubled youth at 13 back in 1977. The two have gone through some tough times, and now they ride the wave of positive energy and the euphoria that goes with winning the first ever super fight in terms of having a winner, because we did have a draw last time between Ken Shamrock and Royce Gracie. Thank you very much.
He did a lot of research, a lot of intelligence put into this.
Well, he seemed to notice a Severn tendency to leave his head out there when he attacks the legs, and Shamrock, to his credit, seemed to frustrate Severn in the middle with that wrestling. Severn may be feeling that if he kept doing this, he was going to get tired.
Here's highlights now of the UFC 6 main draw. This was Tank Abbott against Paul Varlins. Tank Abbott going on to win this bout when the referee stops it at 1:51. Here's a look at Varlins getting pummeled by the Tank, who actually looked off at us and smiled rather gleefully.
Now, this is a semi-final match here, and it got Tank into the finals, but once he got Varlins down here and got a hold of that fence, he did seem to enjoy himself immensely.
So Tank Abbott advancing to the finals of UFC 6. And his opponent will be Oleg Taktarov, who took care of alternate Anthony Macias rather easily in 12 seconds.
Well, I just saw Macias blink in that replay, almost as though he was saying, here it comes. And Taktarov, a master of submission, and this might have been real, but it happened oh so quickly, and because these two are friends, one can always speculate. But Taktarov is a master of choke. And Jim, how many chokes have we seen tonight?
Well, I know it's a masterful weapon. But you know what's interesting? It's going to be a tremendous fight, and he's going to need every technique that he can use against the Tank.
The Tank talks the talk, and unfortunately for his victims, has walked the walk.
Well, finally, you can order your official Ultimate apparel, caps, t-shirts, sweats, and other items, all made in the U.S. with 100% heavyweight cotton, and something new from the UFC, pendants. Also, collect the videos from the UFC 2, 3, 4, and 5 at tonight's show number 6. As anyone who's tried to buy one of these videos in the stores can tell you, these videos sell out immediately. They're very hard to find. Now you can actually get your own. Just call Full Contact Sports